For those of you that can stand, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will be led by Mr. Pete Anderson.
Gentlemen, please remove your caps. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And God bless America and Canada and Ukraine.
Okay, everybody. At this time, I'd like to have the board members introduce themselves, and we'll start with Mr. Scott Pessin.
Scott Pessin, member at large and not in charge.
Okay. All right. Moira McLeod Foster, treasurer.
Jerry.
Jerry Conrad, secretary to the Stars.
Kathy Lindstrom, vice president.
And I'm John McDonnell, your president. Tyler. Vanessa, please.
Vanessa Ayon, assistant general manager.
And special guest today, Dia, please.
Hi, I'm Dia Frank. I'm the association's legal counsel. Nice to meet you.
She didn't need a microphone. She handled that very well. All right. So I'd like to entertain a motion, please, to approve the minutes from general session from our last meeting.
And that would be March 30th.
March 30th of 22.
Second. Oh, sorry. Second.
The reason why we have a motion and a second by Moira and myself is because we were on the board at that time, and we now have 3 new board members who can now vote to ratify that. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Tyler, the staff person of the month, please.
Okay. I'd like to invite Marlena to step up to the mic. So we'd like to recognize Marlena Santiago as our Employee of the Month for April 2022. Marlena has been with Sun City Shadow Hills for 8 years and counting. We appreciate her extensive knowledge, experience, and great personality provided with her classes. She has displayed outstanding efficiency and professionalism throughout her time here. Homeowners continuously compliment the joy she brings to them during the fitness classes and her excellent attitude while she motivates them to stay healthy and active. Thank you, Marlena.
Marlena, could you say something? Could you just say something to the community? There's a lot of people that are here to see you today. If you could just say something to them.
Thank you. I enjoy my job, and I enjoy all of you. When I come to work, my number one priority is the participant. And I just want to say thank you very much. And I appreciate all of you, whether you're in class or walking through the gym. I love engaging with you and seeing you and trying to brighten your day. So if you see me, say hello, because I want to learn what your name is. Bye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have an announcement that will be read by Mr. Pessin that will be in regards to the decisions that were made about the Shadows restaurant this morning. Mr. Pessin?
Thank you, John. Just a friendly reminder, the raffle drawing will not be held until the very end of the meeting. This is awesome. I just want to say this is such an incredible turnout, and this is all I wanted when I ran for the board, that there was more participation and more voice, and here you all are. This is completely awesome. So, good afternoon, everybody. Here it is, short and sweet. Your board of directors had a very productive meeting in executive session this morning with Troon's Vice President, Daryl Morgan. For those of you who don't know, Troon operates our food and beverage as well as golf operations here. The board unanimously agreed to further support Troon and its continuing efforts to successfully operate not only golf course, but food and beverage operations as well. Both the board and Troon recognize that the current cost of inflation, the current situation in the labor market will most likely result in more than budgeted costs to run food and beverage operations going forward. The board recognizes that in order to operate Shadows and our other food and beverage operations at full capacity, that it will have increased costs which will come from the current operating budget. We look forward to a continued relationship with Troon and support its efforts to reach the end goal of operating Shadows and our food and beverage operations to full capacity as soon as they can do so. Thank you.
So it's always been the goal of this board to make sure that the Shadows succeeded. It's just that we needed a game plan on how that was going to happen. And I think we reached that game plan today. Our general manager for golf is out ill today and was not able to be here. But kudos to him, hats off to him. He is putting together a program which Shadows has probably been starving for quite some time. And I think that he is going to do a great job in the time that he's here. And we look forward to working with him when he is feeling better. Okay, Tyler?
Okay, so for open forum, and just to be clear, the Shadows restaurant issue, budget issue, is an agenda item, so anyone that filled out a form for that will speak at a separate section. But we do have one from Jeff Kirkpatrick. You got 1 minute starting now.
Also, if you could please give your name and address, that would be great, please.
Jeff Kirkpatrick, Chair of the Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committees, Sun City Shadow Hills. Thank you very much. I'm here real quick. I want to advertise a couple of issues. Number one, 2 weeks from tonight, active shooter seminar. This year, there has been a police officer killed somewhere in this nation every 5 days. Killed. Every week, there is at least 2 active shooter incidents somewhere in this country. The state of California leads the pack. I hope that God, you're all here 2 weeks from tonight. This is outstanding. It's free. Indio PD will be here to put on their dog and pony show. I guarantee you will walk away enlightened and better prepared should you find yourself in the middle of such an incident. End of story. 2, we've had a recent spate of burglary crimes in the South End Panhandle area of Divisions 14 and 15. Every single one of these was a result of careless owners leaving unlocked vehicles in their driveways. For God's sake, people, don't whine and moan when you get ripped off because you were careless or complacent and left your unlocked car with visible valuables in plain sight in your driveway. If that's the case, don't even bother to call the cops. I'm kidding. Do call the cops. Do call security. And as my 60 seconds wind up, if you see something, for God's sake, say something. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, you left some stuff for your presentation later about everything else, right?
There is no presentation later, but thank you.
There you go. Okay. All right. Tyler? Or Jerry, hold on. Jerry wanted to say a comment?
Well, to piggyback on Jeff, just remind yourself, shut your garage doors. That people leave their garage doors and then they get a little ticket in the mail and they complain, there's a reason why we ask you to keep your garage doors closed. It invites crime, and when crime gets here, they start to tell other people. So emphasize that to yourselves. Thank you very much.
Jerry Irwin.
It's on their way. Health and fitness on their way.
Mine is not a question, it's just an observation that before the pandemic, the Shadows after Thursday's men's golf used to be crowded. And it's no longer the case for two simple reasons. Number one, we use Golf Genius, which we put the scores in our handheld device, and we know where we stand and we don't have to go in there. They used to put up big oak tag boards and you come in to see if you won or lost. The other reason is we used to have shotgun starts and everybody used to finish at the same time. Now with tee times, everybody finishes in a staggered amount and there's no socialization after. And if they had shotgun starts again, maybe guys would come in to socialize after. But if you're teeing off at 9:30 and you're going to finish at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to want to go home. So it's just an observation that those two things killed a lot of Shadows business on Thursdays when the men's club plays golf. And the problem initially was they couldn't staff enough people to serve that many people coming in at once, but then they made a fixed menu for Thursday. You had pulled pork, and everybody was prepared for having a regular lunch that way, and the Shadows was able to prepare for that. So just a thing to keep in mind.
Now, that's something, too, you need to talk to Mike about, too. When if Mike was here, that'd be a good thing to talk to him. But, yeah, bring that up to Mike, because I know a lot of people have talked about the shotgun start going away, and they missed that opportunity. So, Tyler?
I don't think we have flagpoles on the agenda, right? Okay,
No.
so then we can see Renee Rich.
Can't hear you.
You just started.
She just got there. You can pull the mic down. There you go.
Here. We've been here 11 years, and we always had visitors comment about how beautiful the gates are at 40th and at Jefferson, and I'm just disappointed in the landscaping at the gates, and the flowers are dead, and now we have a flagpole and wondering when the flags might be going up. But just like to see more attention paid to the plantings and the planters. It's very disappointing, and if you look at other communities, they seem to be able to make it very inviting. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
So Moira will address that for a second, and then Pete will give us a quick update on the flags so we can have that to hand out to you right now.
Thank you very much, Renee, for your comments. We truly appreciate it. I'm the liaison to the Landscape Advisory Committee, and there are several projects in work right now to improve the look of the front gate. The flowers are due to be swapped out. We'll go to our summer colors. I believe it's May the 12th as they're going to start removing it. Prior to that, they need to aerate the soil, fertilize the soil, so when we do the install, the plants will look lovely. So that is what is going on, but they've been very hard at work trying to determine the various things that need to be improved, and there's a number of them that they're working on.
So, Pete, in answer to the flags, we talked a moment ago, so you're looking to have some sort of, here, you can use my mic here, Pete.
Thank you, everybody, for noticing the new flagpoles. I've only been fighting for this for 14 years, right? Finally got the flagpoles up. We have the flags, and we're prepared to put them up, but what we're going to try to do is get our Veterans Club to put together some sort of a little ceremony. And I'd love for you to send out an email to everybody, e-blast everyone, about the date and the time we're going to do that so that we can put the flag both at the Jefferson Gate and also on the 40th Gate. But if you notice, as you drive through the communities here, we're the only facility that does not have a flag at the front gate, but we do now. So let's be proud of it. Thank you.
Pete, what about like Memorial Day or Flag Day, where it's just
Memorial Day's too far away. We want to do it in the flags are here, everything's ready to go. So we want to try to do
That's
it
good.
next week or 7 days thereabouts.
Beautiful, nice,
Okay, thank you.
nice. Tyler?
I do have one, and I'm not sure if it's related to, it appears to be related to the Shadows budget. There's just one named Craig, 4440 Calle. There's no additional address. It's K-R-E-G, it appears.
Given the vote, you don't have to read the question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Is that it?
That is it for the 1 minute open forum.
Okay. Moira, I think you're up.
Okay, so we're not.
Moira, Moira. Macy.
Well, we have some reports.
We have some reports, so I
Okay,
think you want to
you
invite
bring up
Bob Jester.
Bob Jester first, please.
I'm Bob Jester. I'm the chair of the Finance Advisory Committee, and I live at 81750 Avenida Stuco. And if we could have the...
It's thinking.
Okay. This report has been updated from what it used to be. This is a report of all of our action through April 22nd, which was last Friday when we met. Next slide, please. Mike.
Skip one?
Yep. Mike Dunlap, who is the interim general manager, presented the Troon financials, and the report was approved and sent on to the board for consideration. We also discussed staffing and other issues. And I know Mike is ill. I talked to him at noon, and he's got a problem with vertigo and a few other things. But I thought I would just relate his forecast, which I thought was very positive. He said March was a solid month in relation to the budget. We still have work to do on increasing revenues in food and beverage, but as long as we can keep expenses down until we can fully staff and create opportunities for growth of revenue, we should see numbers stay in line with budget. So that was a positive report from Mike, and we've appreciated his efforts with respect to the golf operation and the food and beverage operation. Next slide. Tyler Engel presented the report from DRM, and financially the community is sound, and all those reports are available for your review on the website, so please do not hesitate to take a look at them. You're always encouraged to ask questions of the FAC should you have any. And we again recommended approval of the report and sent it on to the board for approval. Next slide. The committee quarterly hears from our Comerica representatives, and the Comerica representatives are in charge of investing the $14 million that we presently have in our reserve funds. Those reserve funds are set aside by law for replacement of immediate needs in this community. And we annually have a study conducted and determine what those needs are with respect to equipment, buildings, and other things. And they all have to be, in order to be on the list, they have to have a useful life of 30 years or less. So you would not see Montecito on the list, but you might see the carpeting on the list. So just to give you an idea. The report was positive in one respect because a great deal of our investment funds are in fixed income investments, and with the rise in interest rates we can anticipate that we're going to start earning more than 0.5%, hopefully. We moved some of our funds into the market, a small amount of those. Markets have been unsettled. We haven't lost a lot, but we haven't gained a lot, and we're hoping that the world stabilizes so that the investment picture can stabilize as well. We also reviewed board action forms, which is our obligation. we have a subcommittee that looks at all requests for expenditures in excess of $5,000, whether it be from the operating funds or from the replacement fund. And we have passed on recommendations to the board, which we are obligated to do on a monthly basis, for approval of new camera technologies at the gates, for approval of air conditioning equipment for that camera equipment so that it won't fail as the old equipment did fairly regularly. Now this is a good one. We approved fertigation pumps. Now, I didn't have any idea what a fertigation pump was, but having seen one, I understand that it pumps fertilizer onto the golf course, which all you golfers should be very happy about because they've been having to pull a little tractor around and do it all manually. So we approve that. And then I did want to give a real complimentary mention to Tom Johnson, who's our new groundskeeper for the golf course. The replacement fund, when a piece of equipment comes up and it says it's replacement time, it kind of goes onto a list and they send in the request and we want to spend the money. Well, purpose of our subcommittee is to go out and look at that equipment and make sure it needs to be replaced. Because we are not the United States government and we do not spend our budgets just because we have them. So Zarel Becker, who is the vice chair of the subcommittee, went out with her crew and they looked at the equipment. And it was determined that the majority of this $297,000 request was not necessary at this time. So we're going to be spending $14,645. So thanks to Zarel and thanks to Tom Johnson. The final thing we looked at was a request for an expenditure out of the new Capital Improvement Fund, and that was to complete some of the aesthetic viewpoint of the improvements over here where the drainage system is going in. So we've approved more trees, we've approved a walking path, and we approved park benches, and all that has gone on to consideration by the board today. And then after that, we look at our insurance program, and that's another obligation of this committee. If I'd known this committee did all of this stuff, I'm not sure I would have done it, but anyway, it keeps you busy. The distressing news about the insurance program is that, as I indicated last month, because of the number of claims against homeowners associations nationwide, a lot of the carriers are getting out of the business, including the carrier that we had, who notified us, not so much because of our loss ratio, but because we are an HOA, that they didn't want to write our insurance anymore. And we use a company called Prinville, brokers, and they've had a real time finding carriers who are willing to write a homeowners association. But they did find two. One of them, the terms of the policy was unacceptable because they did not want to defend the homeowners association if it was sued in a matter where there might be some question about coverage, and they did not want to cover extra outside events, which of course this community is an outside event. So we looked at the second one, and that's with a company called America West or AmWest, and the problem is it's going to cost a lot more money. So you're going to see an increase in insurance costs of about $200,000. But there's nothing we can do about it because it's what the market is at the moment. If our loss ratio stays good this year, hopefully people will want to get back, or other companies will want to get back into that market. But that's where we are, and we have the extra funds to take care of it at this point. So we're okay, and you're all going to be insured as of Monday, all right? Just don't make any claims. Our next meeting will be the end of May. And we have presented a bath to the the board, where we have found a very qualified certified public accountant who is a member of our community who has agreed to become a part of our organization. And so I hope to be able to welcome him when his nomination is considered next month. And we still need help on the subcommittee that goes out and looks at that equipment. And so any of you that have construction background, architects, engineers, anybody that was a purchasing agent for a corporation, please let us know and fill out a committee interest form, because this is a very important part of our organization. I mean, we have the ability to spend an awful lot of money, so we need people looking at that to make sure we do it wisely and soundly. So I thank you. I thank all of the members of our hardworking committee and the subcommittee as well, and would tell you if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. Hearing none, I will tell you that our Finance Advisory Committee works together very well, and we're very pleased about that. So thank you for your attention to our report.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that very much, everything you do for this community. Tyler, you're up with the general manager's report, please.
Okay, good afternoon, board residents. Thank you all for coming. Today we're going to talk about, real briefly, the March unaudited results with a year-to-date actual to budget comparison. We'll look at the balance sheet and any balance sheet fluctuations year-to-date. Take a look at the analysis of the financial position of the association, give an update from me, and then if the board has any questions, I will attempt to answer them. So all this information, in case I forget to say it on one of these pages, is year-to-date through March 31st. We're on a calendar year. So in the operating fund, not including golf and food and beverage, our revenues were $2.9 million and expenses were $2.2 million. The excess of revenue over expense was $637,000. The budget was to have an excess of $499,000, so it's a favorable variance of $139,000 year-to-date. Part of this is due to some additional revenue that wasn't anticipated. That includes fitness of about $16,000 and directory advertising of $6,000. Our expenses, some of them are over budget, some are under budget. The red are over budget. In our G&A, we're $64,000 under budget. Utilities are $18,000 over budget. Landscaping is $19,000 over budget. Property protection at $12,000 over budget. Repair and maintenance department is $97,000 under budget. Lifestyle and fitness are both under budget, $9,000 and $22,000. Our capital improvements are $37,000 over budget. Common area improvements are $10,000 less than budget, and our depreciation is about $6,000 more than budget. To further expand a little more, overall, in personnel, we have equivalent of 50 full-time employees versus a budget of 61. That puts us $76,000 less than budget. That includes all of our departments and includes our temporary employees. Our bad debt expense is about $17,000 less than budget, and we adjust this every month based on receivables greater than 90 days. You'd be glad to know that your total receivables compared to our total budget is and has been less than 1% for a number of years. Our legal services are about $8,000 less than budget. Okay, and repair and maintenance. Street repair and maintenance is about $11,000 less than budget. Our general repair and maintenance, $7,000 less than budget. Restaurant maintenance is $6,000 less than budget. And HVAC repair and maintenance is $6,000 less than budget. And janitorial supplies are $11,000 less than budget. All of these things, the majority of these things so far, since it's only March, are likely a timing variance. So some of these things will pick up later in the year as we move on. When we know for certain that we have a permanent variance, then we'll announce that. In the lifestyle department, our resident activities are about $12,000 less than budget. And in utilities, our gas service is $23,000 more than budget, and our electric service is $9,000 more than budget. Both of those are pretty disappointing, but rates have gone up so drastically that we can hardly keep up. In the replacement fund, year-to-date, our revenues were $460,000. This included an unrealized loss on investments of $98,000. Our expenses were $123,000. Expenses for major repairs were $329,000 was the plan. And also, we transferred $522,000 from the to the operating fund from the replacement fund. That was for the purchase of the golf carts that were delivered at the end of the year and put in service at the beginning of the year. On the replacement fund, our beginning balance for the year was $14.8 million. We've had an excess of revenue over expenses of $336,000. We subtract the $522,000 we spent on golf carts, and the current balance in the replacement fund is $14,661. Or sorry, $14,661,000. So that's a change of $184,000, about $185,000 for the year. On the balance sheet, we have total assets of $22.3 million. This is up $606,000 for the year. Our liabilities are down $503,000 to $1.6 million, and the total fund balance of $20.7 million is up $606,000 since the beginning of the year. Your cash situation is very healthy, $7.7 million in cash. That is down $1.3 million, and that's mostly due to investments. Replacement fund investments, there it is there, $12.6 million, an increase of $1.7 million for the year. For accrued costs and expenses, they're down $389,000 for the year to $286,000, and our accrued personnel expenses are down $138,000 to $408,000. Assessments received in advance, for those of you who like to pay early, are up $257,000 to $512,000, and our deferred revenue is down $169,000 to about $359,000. What does this all mean? The operating fund balance is about $2.9 million, up $918,000. Net working capital of about $2.8 million, which is up $675,000. And that equals to about 3.19 months of the operating fund assessment income, which is a healthy position to be in. Our capital improvement fund balance is $1.48 million. We've spent just a little bit of that, and also we earned a little bit of interest on that account. On the replacement fund, the balance is down $185,000 to $14.7 million, and the replacement fund net working capital is $2 million, and this is down $1.9 million since the beginning of the year. Month of April, we completed the March unaudited financials, attended various committee and board meetings, welcomed three new board members. We welcome two. We won't say which one. No, we welcome all three new board members, and I think we've got a great board in place. With that, I'll ask the board if they have any questions.
Couple of questions, Tyler. So on page 36, the capital improvements were an overrun of $37,000. Yeah. What was that for? That was
for the work done at Pond 2. That wasn't work that was anticipated to be done. Doesn't mean that it's a negative. It is a negative variance to budget, but we have $1.5 million in the capital improvement fund to use towards that.
Okay. Now, also in the employees, we want to make it perfectly clear that Sun City Shadow Hills does not have employees.
Correct.
So when you refer to employees of having 50-plus employees, full-time employees, which they call FTEs, that is from DRM and from Troon.
Actually, that's just from DRM.
DRM, okay.
Management employees. We know that Troon has their own budget of FTEs. So does Allied Universal and Vintage. So the association has no employees to speak of.
Okay, and then the analysis of the financial position of the capital improvement fund, the balance is $1.48 million.
Right.
We spent approximately, I think, $276,000 to get the pond completely removed and filled in.
So that'll come out in the following months.
Okay, because
that work wasn't completed in March. Work was done in April. So we'll see that in the following month.
Was completed in April, so that's when we pay in that. Okay, so
we will always accrue based on the work that's done, but in that case, the work wasn't done, so we'll expense that in April.
So we approached Sukkot, who is the contractor who is doing the North Channel project, And we asked them, hey, you guys are going to have to remove a lot of dirt and you're going to have to haul it away. Is that correct? And the answer to that question was yes. And so we asked them if we could have them bring well, actually, originally the question was, can we have the dirt? And somehow that worked its way into that they would use their earth movers and bring the dirt and dump it into Pond 2 for us. And then our contract with Landscapes Unlimited was that they would spread the dirt and compact it so that we wouldn't have sinkage there. And they reevaluated the amount of time and dirt that we received from the North Channel project. The original number was $150,000 worth of dirt and labor, which is a lot of dirt. And when they discovered that that was short, they reevaluated, and we saved almost $225,000 worth of funds that we were going to have to pay. So that just basically came from a conversation that I had on the street corner of 40th and Jefferson with the superintendent of that project. And man, we made out like bandits there, because that saved us a lot of money. And if you've had the opportunity to take a look at that area, you'll see that the sod was laid out there, the sprinklers have been running, everything is moving along absolutely perfect. And in a little bit later in the discussion, you'll hear about the trees and the park benches and the pathway. But we made out very well there. We did very well by acquiring that dirt. So that's the money that we had there. Let's see, was there anything else? Did anybody else have anything for Tyler? No? Jerry? No. Okay. All right. We're not doing, you want to talk about the food and beverage, what we're doing with that?
Sure. So, as it was mentioned, Mike Dunlop, the GM for Troon, is out ill today. His report that he normally presents, it's always on the website. So after today's meeting, it'll be posted on the website, and you can review that there. Yeah. So. Yeah. Let me see.
No, not yet. You go to speaker forums first.
Speaker forums. So give me just a sec, because.
We've done the 1 minute, so we can go on to the financials, and then we can move on to the 3 minutes.
Okay, so that's all done there. Okay, Moira?
Okay. I move this over so everybody can hear me. Okay, can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure. Okay. I move to accept the March 2022 Treasurer's Report subject to audit.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
I move to accept the April 2022 General Manager Report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
I move to accept the April 2022 Financial Advisory Committee report as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
I move to try that again. Sorry. I move to accept the March 2022 HOA financials subject to audit.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Scott?
Nope.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I move to accept the March 2022 golf and food and beverage financials subject to audit.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Tyler, I have discussion about that. We're approving that even without the report,
Yeah,
correct?
it's in your book.
Yeah, I know it's in the book, so the community will just have to read that online.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I move to accept the March 2022 bank reconciliations as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I move to proceed with the authorization to lien the following accounts: 167-2068, 186-3483, should the accounts not be brought current before the lien threshold period.
Hold on, we have a correction on that.
Yeah, it's
The
183.
second is 183-3483 instead of 186. It's 183?
Just one digit off.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's 183-3483.
That's it, correct.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
I'm happy to report that there are no foreclosures this month. Okay, and lastly, there is no bad debt write-off at this time.
Very nice. Great report. Okay, Tyler?
Okay, so we're to agenda items. These are 3 minutes per person, and the first is Barbara Preslock.
When you come up, please give your name and address, please.
Hi, Barbara Preslock, 81618 Corte Valdemoro. I would first like to thank Jerry and Scott, because why we're here today, I believe, is because of you two. In preparing for this, coming here today, I went back to the old videos, and on June 28th, there was a video where you, Mr. President, was very much excited about a huge expansion to the kitchen, and even a nightclub scenario. That was your word. And then, that was June 28, 2021, and here we are in April 2022 with a disaster. So my question, and I tried to find the answer everywhere, and I couldn't find it. Troon had suggested a 20% reduction, but yet the previous board said, nope, not quite. Let's do 30-something. I would love to know the logic as to why that was agreeable, because it was agreeable. The old board agreed to it. How we could allow that to be the case and yet down the road have a nightclub. Maybe you could explain the 30%? Thank you.
Yeah, you can answer it.
Okay, so the first part of the question is my excitement of seeing a renovation to the Shadows restaurant. Scott and I had this conversation earlier, and yes, I was very excited about that. I thought that it would be a great thing for our Shadows restaurant to have an expansion that would bring us into today's theories of what would be a fancy restaurant or an inviting restaurant instead of just a square box that you go into that has windows and a bar that faces a mirror so that when you're drinking you're seeing yourself drink, which you know didn't think it was a pretty sight as somebody said in front here. So I was very, very excited about that. That was on the top of my priority list when I was elected. I thought, man, we got to do this. We've got to make something that's inviting where everybody will come, and we have limited capacity. And then I started seeing how the club was being managed, and I felt that the management of the club was not. The game plan wasn't right, and to build it bigger, as many of you said, to build it bigger was only going to build a bigger problem. It wasn't going to solve the problem of the restaurant. It was going to build a bigger problem. And I backed off real fast from that. And I made myself I mean, I put it out there vocally that I was against the expansion at this time until we had a good game plan. And I felt that the food and beverage needed to take the time to investigate with their committees and see what the community was looking for and what was possible there. We had many things, not just the Shadows, but we also had the expansion, or not really the expansion, but the reopening of the cafe here. You know, as to why we couldn't use the cafe, because Pulte built an inadequate feature here for us. They didn't put a grease trap in. We weren't able to use it, okay? So that was the problem. Now, to go into the percentages, Troon offered us, right off the bat, they offered us a 20% reduction. And they were using an evaluation of $1.6 million. And we thought that that was pretty aggressive. And so the board asked them to reduce their what is it, Tyler? Their
subsidy.
Subsidy. No, not the subsidy. The 1.5 million.
Oh, I'm sorry. The revenue projection.
The revenue. Thank you. To $1.5 million. And in that, what we were getting from a lot of people in the community was they saw employees at the Shadows that were standing around, and
We're
there
off
would
topic.
No, how am I off
Talking
topic?
about we're dipping into personnel.
Oh, council is advised to stop?
Yes.
Yes.
We're dipping into personnel matters. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I think we can stick to the question again, but not dipping into the personnel matters, please.
Okay. So we just asked Troon to take a look at their staffing and to reduce the amount of people that would be there on staff during the day and be more responsible for having the correct amount of staffing due to what Troon told us that their servers would be able to accommodate. And that number was rehashed today at 24 patrons, okay, per server. And that's because they have a back and they have a expediter that helps them. And so we felt that having too many staff members standing around was where we were having a financial problem. And when we talked to Troon about this, the 12% was something that we negotiated because we had two different options. And we went with the lower option.
No, that's not correct.
No.
We didn't go with either option. The board went back to Troon and said the board didn't accept either option. The board instead said, reduce your revenue assumptions to 1.5 million, reduce your overall personnel wages by about 2%, which equaled, compared to Troon's original budget that they proposed with no reduction in staffing, it reduced same percentages, like for like, about $32,000, which was equal to about $600 a week. There was no discussion. The board did not agree at that time to reduce hours for Shadows in the summer or number of days.
That's correct. We never agreed at all to reduce hours. The 10 to 5 hours when they came out, we were all surprised by that because we hadn't seen that before. That's not something that our board voted on before. So that's where we're at. I didn't cross any legal lines there, right? And it's perfect where it is? Okay, so that's the answer to the question. So
Kent, is it possible to have discussion outside of what you just said?
Yes, should be.
Thank you.
In response to
in
Ms. Preslock's question.
Yes. From my perspective, the 12% reduction beyond the 20%, which we all can agree was probably a number that was not realistic, but from my perspective, that 12%, if it's based on truly on a visual of staff being too many, then for me, as I view this as an amenity, I don't mind having too many staff. I don't mind that there's staff. I understand from my perspective that restaurants have by nature downtimes and they have staff. It would be the same thing to me as having too few people using the fitness center and saying, well, we don't need all this staff because of the summertime, we'll let you go. And my sense is that if that 12% wasn't taken out, perhaps we would be able to keep more staff. We wouldn't be in some of these predicaments. And I know there's some other issues. There's, the vaccine and the other issues, but, that's in the past. You can't change that. That's a done deal. Going forward, I think we've done a pretty good job working together here. I was going to come out here guns a-blazing, I got to tell you. I had it all written up. I was practicing all night, and I was ready to go. But we've come to a compromise agreement where Troon has also agreed, because that was my bottom line. If Troon wasn't going to agree to what our statement, then we were going to have a problem, because I want to make sure that we still have Troon here by the end of the year, and I don't want to. I really don't want to go through all this to have to try to get another vendor, one that would be just as expensive, maybe not as good, all those other issues. So I really hope that this board can come to, and I like to use that phrase, kumbaya, baby. If we can come together and we can get Troon and the board on the same page with food and beverage and let them do their job. Thank you.
What I'd like to say is that, we can keep looking back and we can keep beating up the last boards, but right now, this board is really concerned with moving forward. And with that, this board came together today and spoke with Troon and said, you know what? We don't mind paying money, but you know what? We want some quality there. We want quality food, we want quality service, and the nice thing is that all of us had the same perspective, that what we wanted was an amenity for this community that was going to work for everyone. And we came from different backgrounds, we came from different theories, but we all had the same goal, and that was to make sure that Shadows was fully operational. And to that end, I think this board has done a great job today in our first official board meeting, and I want to look forward instead of looking backwards. If we keep looking backwards, we're only going to crash. So eyes on the road, and let's move forward.
Larry Wynn.
For now, I think in light of the board's earlier vote, I'd like to postpone my comments for a later date if you are.
Chris Stevens.
Yeah, time all passed.
Okay. Larry Crestel.
Hello, Larry Crestel, 81627 Comida, Cosatita. My comments are about the tarring of the street that we just recently had done. And I've been walking around a lot of the streets, and I noticed that the tar has sunken down 3 inches, and it looks like it did before they put the tar in. So I wanted to know from a maintenance person or whatever, what's going to happen, since I'm sure we paid a lot of money for that to be done properly. And in my opinion, it wasn't done properly. They need to come back and touch up those spots.
Okay. Was there any other comment?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
Jesse, would you come up and address that issue, please?
Good afternoon, board. Good afternoon, residents. So for the crack seal that was done on phase 3, we do have a consultant coming out next week. They're going to meet with the board and also with the committee members to discuss the crack seal process that was completed. One thing that for the crack seal, the cracks will always stay there. They will not disappear. The crack seal is supposed to seal the cracks. It's supposed to seal the cracks from water getting into the cracks, but you will always see the crack there. But again, we're going to have the consultant come out to look at all the cracks to make sure that they were done correctly. And they'll be here next week. And afterwards, we'll get the report from them, and then from there we can move forward on the report that we're going to get.
Will the consultant make a report to the Facilities and Services Advisory Committee?
Correct. They're going to actually meet with the committee as well, and any board member who would like to be there for the meeting. This way, we could go over the crack seal and the process of the crack seal.
Thank you, Jesse. Mark Goldberg. Mark still here? Okay. Carolyn Lieber. Okay. Bob Masitis. You didn't select 3 minutes or 1 minute, but
I asked, they said you don't have to if you put in the
Okay.
section I filled out. 3 minutes,
Okay.
but I won't take that long. I want to say thank you to Scott and thank you to Jerry for bringing this shadows issue to the board. You can tell by the response in here, it is a critical issue. It's one we take seriously. It's one we spend $845,000 a month in our dues for. So I'm not going to go to what I was going to say earlier. I'm just going to ask Jerry and Scott to keep going, keep us informed. If the progress stalls between now and the next board meeting, please let us know so we can come back and do this all again. Thank you, Mr. Board.
We will.
Mr. Chairman, Board, appreciate it.
Sue Crogsdale. Okay. Bud Roberts. Joe LaPica.
Hi, neighbor.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe LaPica, live at 40610 Calle Santa Monica. My wife and I have lived in this community for 14 years, and we've enjoyed a lot of amenities here. And I just wanted to say that I'm very pleased with the results we've heard in the meeting today. Shadows is an amenity, and if we just think back to 2019, pre-COVID, Shadows, we had many events at Shadows. Shadows seemed, we had I think at least 10 or 12 different specialty nights with, and it was hard to even get a reservation there. Breakfast was served, and there were a lot of clubs going to. Shadows staff was able to do a lot of the banquets. So I think Troon has done a good job in the past, and then we got diverted with COVID. And I just want to see us back on track, and thank you all.
Thank you.
Randy Olson.
Randy Olson, 81 Frady, Camino Los Milagros. I'm the token Canadian here. I just wanted to congratulate the board. It's nice to see people talking together. We versus they is not the way we want to see it going forward, guys. So appreciate the comments this morning. And I just have to tell you what a privilege it is to be in this community. I've been here for 10 years now, and what a joy to come down. The facilities are fantastic. There's so much to be appreciated here for. We have to look towards the future and go Sun City Shadow Hills, you guys. Thank you.
Sandy Schaefer.
What was the first name? I didn't. What was
Sandy.
it? Sandy Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Terry Kuhn.
I like to say something right now. We must have done something right as a board to calm down the situation. I'm really pleased about that. I think we're going forward quite nicely, and I hope, like everybody else here, that we come to a common agreement with Troon and take care of this and get this behind us. Thank you.
Debbie Halper. Debbie, one thing we can't address is the Shadows pay for the employees. So we can't actually talk about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Deb Halper, 80757 Camino San Lucas. I also am grateful to the whole board for working hard and making this happen. And I realize you're all donating time and you spend a lot of man hours, and everybody up there wants to do what's best for our community, and I totally understand that. I did want to just pose a question to you regarding the plans for Montecito Cafe. John had mentioned, and I never realized that there was a problem with the grease. I didn't realize that, and I wondered, I would love to have that open, and whatever it would take to get that open, I would appreciate it. We've only been here a year, but yeah, we've been here a year, but one of the things I thought when we moved in is, I thought, well, once COVID is over, oh my gosh, you know, we've got this little cafe that I can walk to, and it's going to be lovely, and have a coffee with a friend or a glass of wine, and I was kind of disappointed. It looks like that's kind of in limbo. So I wondered if you could address that.
I'd like to address that. We would like to get the Montecito going as soon as possible. The problem is that no matter how much money we give, we don't have the staffing right now. And that was acknowledged by Troon. Excuse me? No, volunteers can't do it. We have health issues with, you know, health department issues. So what we're doing is we've told Troon to go ahead, hire full staffing. We've got some alternative labor forces that we've just hooked into right now, and we're hoping to fill the staff that, well, we're hoping to get people in to apply. Right now we don't have the bodies to apply for the positions. And that's sort of throughout the valley, and so we're reaching out to different labor sources and hoping that we can do that. As soon as the restaurant gets fully staffed, then we'll have the ability to open up the Montecito and also to do catering again. But it's bodies.
I totally get it. I appreciate it. And one other quick thing. I am not addressing staff pay because I'm not allowed to. I do want to comment that there are country clubs that spend $700 a month. We only spend $309. My husband and I are so willing to increase that by a few bucks if it means we sweeten the pie for someone in some way.
See you at the budget meetings in September and October. Let's have everybody back here because that's when we'll be looking at that.
Okay, great. And I thought one other quick thing is you could do a survey. Maybe the majority really think that a couple bucks a month would be rough. But maybe the majority thinks $2 or even $5 a month is okay. I do, so I don't know. But I just thought I'd put that out there.
We'll be working through that. By the time September and October come, we'll have an idea of what the forecast is from Troon, where we're going. Just looking at this month, you saw on the screen, we had a surprise increase in insurance. You know, we're having a surprise here with inflation and the labor force for the restaurant. We are going to be taking this all in the next 6 months. When September and October come, we're going to have the different departments put together their budgets, and that's how we're going to see what's going to shake out for our monthly assessment. So
John, can I address
we're on the road, but we've got to see where it's going to come through.
And I also agree. I think now that we've come to a subtle agreement with Troon, to backstop them for the extra costs that are going to happen in the next several months, which we all know they will. During the summer, it's tough to get income, the staff shortages, et cetera, inflation, all that. John and I have come to an agreement that we're going to have a survey, and we're going to find out what the membership really wants. And this might take a couple months, but we know that the membership, the homeowners here, are the ones who are the driving force. It's not this 5 people on the board. Yeah, we make votes, but we're not the driving force. You are. And so it would really be helpful if everybody got on board, answered that survey when we get it together, and we'll go forward from that. That'll be very helpful.
Okay, just to respond to your comment about the Montecito Cafe, in everybody's brochure, sales pitch, whatever they got when they moved in here, the Montecito Cafe was in full swing. The restaurant was in full swing with specialty nights and everything else. We have 2 golf courses. We have 2 fitness centers, 3 pools. We've got to get off this kick of Shadows costing us money and as a loss, okay? It is an amenity. We all bought into it. We all agreed that was something really cool to have in the community. And just to give you perspective, your breakdown of your dues, you pay $32 a month this year in landscaping of your 309. Security costs you $33 a month. Lifestyles costs you $17 a month. Golf costs you $34 a month. I'm not messing with golf. Fitness costs you $14 a month. And food and beverage operations is budgeted at $8 a month. Okay? So we got to get back to it being an amenity for all of the homeowners. It doesn't need to generate a ton of income. It's there for the convenience of the homeowners.
So last year, there was a question as to how many people were actually using the restaurant. And based on chits, which are the tickets that are the covers that are put out, it showed that about 25% of this community uses the restaurant. That didn't include if Moira was there 4 times that week. Okay? So, anyway, so the point is that there's a lot of people here today who are saying that they want the restaurant up and running. Okay? So the point is that next year in the dues, and Scott has you've made point that this could cost $8, it could cost $12, or it could cost $14. Who knows?
Correct.
So your dues could be increased by $6 or $8. Now, some of you don't mind that. Don't mind it at all. It's not going to break the bank. My buddy Mike tells me, he says, that's not going to break me. Not even close. But there are a lot of people who have responded that they don't like the fact that the dues go up. Now, if you do look around the communities in this Coachella Valley, you'll see that a lot of the HOA dues in some of these communities, and Ronnie, you've been in a few of these communities, the HOA dues are higher in a lot of these places. And so you moved here because you liked the facilities and you liked the low HOA dues. Well, you may still like the facilities, but the HOA dues might have to go up next year. And I'll tell you what, if they go up, what do you think, Scott? If they go up $6, we open everything full bore, full time?
You're looking at...
You don't know.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know for sure. But
based on the highest we've ever paid, you're looking at $4.
Okay, so it could go up $4. Okay?
But we have to take.
But we don't know that for sure.
And
we don't know that for sure
8.6%
because of inflation.
Inflation right now.
Right, because of inflation. And like Jerry brought up earlier, I think it was you, Jerry, that brought up about labor force. We don't know what that's going to cost us. If you look out there, Jerry brought up a comment about, I think it was you, Jerry, that brought up that the signs on McDonald's were $14 and $18, or somebody brought it up. Scott, was that you? $14 and $18?
$16 and $18.
$16 and $18 is on the walls of McDonald's. And so, that's what's driving the force. You're not going to pay that here. You're going to have to pay more for somebody to be here. $16 and $18 is not going to work at this community.
Well, and I agree with John that you don't want to raise your dues a lot of money because that's one of the hallmarks of living here. We've got a real good deal going. However, we had a $4 million surplus. And some of that's been siphoned off into another fund. I get that. And we have some unexpected expenses. This insurance is no joke.
No way.
It's no joke. So we understand there's some added costs. But when you've got several millions of dollars in surplus from the previous board, I don't know if you necessarily have to automatically raise dues to fund what we're looking for. But that's something for the board to consider and for you to understand and eventually you to vote on in the distant future, et cetera. So there's
Tyler,
alternative.
Did you say, Tyler, that our insurance, not to get off topic, but our insurance went up $200,000 from last year? Is that what it was?
177, I believe, with the
177.
With True's
So last year we paid.
Is over $300,000 more. That's what we're going to see this year, this calendar year. If the rates are exactly the same next year, we're going to be paying $600,000 a year.
For insurance, just to make sure that don't have any kind of liabilities or lawsuits against us as a community. I mean, the insurance is gone crazy. So we're way over our budget on that. So anyway.
Can we call the next resident?
What?
Yeah. Frank Rosato.
Hi, I'm Frank Rosato. I live at 81259 Camino Lampazos. I'm here today to talk about shadows. Most of what I wanted to discuss has already been taken care of. Happy to see that you guys were able to hug it out and we have a plan here. So that's all good. I think it sounds like everything is going in the right direction. I think by the show of people here, we're fairly new to the community, a year and a half. We've not been able to attend a live board meeting, and all the ones that I've seen on video, there weren't really very many people here. So clearly this is a subject that is ringing with everyone. So happy to hear that we're discussing it, and sounds like there'll be potentially an email coming out asking for interest as to what we'd like to see happen at Shadows, so that's great. That's all I have to say about that. Just as a side, since I've been here and they've started the EPC meetings again, the Emergency Preparedness Committee, I've had an opportunity to attend and volunteer for the committee. Jeff Kirkpatrick is doing an amazing job so for those of you who are new or have even been here for a long time, you know, it's no one likes to talk about these worst case scenarios, but if the stuff were to ever really hit the fan, we're in good hands. And that can only be made better by more people deciding that they want to at least know what's going on in the community in case of an emergency and volunteer some of their time. So happy to meet the 70 or so people that I met at the last meeting. And for those who haven't attended or don't know what it's all about, you can find lots of information on the website. I encourage you to do so. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Israel.
Did you doze off again,
Your
Bob?
3 minutes already started.
3 minutes, Bob.
How are you?
Good, Bob. How are you?
This is great. I'm really happy to see this. And I just would like to say that I would hope that we will see this more often, each month. Take the time to come and spend 2 hours and devote it to the community, because it's the kind of community that you want it to be. You got to be here, show up, and talk. Now, the only thing I wanted to ask is, even though I'm no longer on the board, I do read the board packets every month, and I noticed that this item, J, has no BAF.
That's right.
Correct.
Right. There's so we have no idea what the board has agreed to, and I assume that we will be seeing a BAF sometime in the future as to what happens, what amount how much we're turning on the spigot.
We won't see that necessarily. However, you can look at Troon's financials each month, and they do provide a forecast each month.
Okay.
Which forecasts their total revenue and expense for Shadows for the whole year.
But normally, if there's an increase of more than $5,000 a month, we have a BAF to support that, do we not?
That would be for a new
Operating
purchase
expense or
or not,
that we're-
right.
All right, okay.
So what the board.
All right.
For
But we'll
those
see,
who are
we'll get some more details in the future. This
those-
is just too soon, that's all.
For those who are questioning, what is a BAF? It's a board action form, and that's what would be submitted to the board for any purchases, for anything that you'll see when we've approved things, you'll see BAF there. If someone is joining a committee, that's an action that needs to be done by the board. And so Mr. Israel's asking, where's the BAF for
For
the
this new agreement with Troon. That's all. That was my question. Anyway, budget time is during the summer. It starts in August, September, and October. And normally, if you have never attended a budget meeting, you would find out that maybe the first row will be filled with 3 or 4 people. That's
employees.
really an important time to come to a meeting and pay attention. If you can't be here because you're away, as I sometimes am, at least go online and look at what the budget considerations are. And if you have comments, communicate those to the board, because the board will listen to them. Thank you.
And last thing I want to say is, Bob, the bath stops here. Sorry, my bad.
Michael Becker.
Hi, I'm Mike Becker. I live over on Ibano, 40228 Ibano. My wife and I have been here about a year. We love this community. We were looking at a lot of different communities when we were deciding to move back here, because I grew up here. And this is the one we chose because of the amenities, because of the cost. And by the way, I'm willing to pay a little more to have a full functioning restaurant. But everything about this community absolutely love, except of course the issue we've had with food and beverage. Just to give you a little background, like I said, I grew up here in the desert. I owned 2 bars here in the desert, built them from scratch, from 4 walls to full bars, managed, general manager of a number of restaurants, worked both private and public, including having to hire staff, supply staff, for special events, even at private clubs such as PGA West, a little thing like the Bob Hope Classic, El Dorado Polo Club when it was a full functioning polo club. I have a lot of experience in these types of issues. One of the things you don't do in a private club is reduce staff. That's not what you do. This is an amenity, and people who go into an amenity want to be serviced. What we can do, and by the way, I'm the first to admit, I've looked at Shadows when we first got here. It's inadequate for the size of this community. That's not your fault. That's the way it was built. It's too small. It doesn't have the proper facilities, but it's what we have. We can increase revenue with what we have. It's not being utilized 100%. There's other things such as Montecito that aren't being utilized where we can develop additional revenue. It's not that difficult. I could give you 10 ideas in 10 minutes of little tiny things. Well, I only have 3 minutes. Little tiny things that increase.
Join the committee. Turn in a.
My application.
They're looking for people right now.
My application was put in last week. Okay, good. So.
And I think you're on board for an interview, sir.
And
I do believe.
Okay, and that, by the way, that brings up a little side note. I think we talk about volunteerism. I know I've applied for this committee. This is the first I've heard that there might be an interview. My wife applied for a committee 9 months ago and never got a notice that they even received her application. I think if we're going to have volunteers, that the least that could be done when an application is made is for somebody within a few days to say, we've received it, we're going to review it, we have openings, we don't have openings, whatever it is. That's a little thing, but I'm just saying that that's something that maybe the board could pass on.
That is your time, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa? Vanessa?
Yes.
Can you elaborate
Yes.
on the process of that when you receive those applications, please? Because I know that you send those notices out.
Yes, of course. So every time we do receive a committee interest form, an acknowledgement is sent, whether via snail mail, U.S. postal mail, or an email. That is then forwarded to the committee chair, the appropriate committee chair. And the notice itself says to the applicant, thank you for your interest. This has been forwarded to the appropriate committee chair. They will review it. If there's availability on the committee, you will be contacted for an interview. If there isn't any availability at this time, your application will remain on file for 2 years. And we always go back to those if anything becomes available.
What committee was that, sir? Okay.
Well, the reason why we're asking what committee she was applying for was because we could speak to the chair of that committee to see who. That's the only way we can trace it, sir. We don't have any way of tracing it otherwise. Okay, thank you very much for that. We'll look into that. Tyler, we'll do that in private after the meeting. Thank you.
I do have a confirmation that an email was sent to her.
Okay. That's good. We'll show that at the end. Thank you. All right,
Okay,
Tyler.
To the consent agenda.
We're done?
We're done with, we have one more comment, but it's during an open
Okay.
forum for 3 minutes.
All right, so we'd like to make an motion to approve.
Yes, I mean, yeah, if you want to approve A through D.
A through D? That's correct. Would somebody like to make that motion? Okay, did I make that motion? I make a motion to accept items A through D on the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anything removed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we're at tab 12. And that's you, John.
Okay, Vanessa, would you like to explain this, what the process was here, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the Design Review Committee has looked at their DRC charter and realized that it did not include the DRC subcommittee's duties. And last month, the board reviewed their proposed revisions and felt that there wasn't enough information included. DRC went back and added 2 bullet points to basically indicate what their duties would be for the subcommittee. So hopefully this is sufficient for the board. If not, we can take this back to DRC. This item does not need to be posted for 28-day comment. This is simply a charter, so just for your approval.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the addition of the DRC subcommittee tasks. Is that that's what it is? The revisions?
Yes.
Okay, I make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody disagree? Disapprove? Okay, that motion carries 5-0.
Okay, tab 13 is the formation of the Snowbirds Charter Club.
Okay, and I believe we're going to take this and table it.
Yeah, we're tabling.
So we're going to be motion to table this until we receive further information on what their activities are going to be. Is that what we discussed earlier? Okay. We are on the Snowbirds.
This is under new business,
New business for the Snowbirds. We're going to table that.
and it's A, accept the formation of the Sun City Shadow Hills Snowbirds Charter Club.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. The next is the formation of the Just Fun Club.
I'm sorry, who made the last motion for the
John.
Snowbirds?
John
John
made the
and seconded by Moira?
Yes.
Thank you.
That is correct.
No.
We can't.
Okay.
And we're going to be
We're going to
tabling
table
it.
it. We're tabling this.
Okay, she cannot do this.
The agenda was made last
We
week.
can't.
And so it still stays because it was printed, but we're tabling it till next month, Stacy.
We're tabling it, so there's no effect to this BAF.
So per your request, it will be discussed this week.
And I'm going to explain why we're also tabling this one for some further information as to what the club intends to do, and that is my motion to table this.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
Okay. 15.
Oh, I'm very busy here today. Tab 15. Okay, Vanessa, would you go over this one, please, again? This is a 28-day comment.
Yes, so DRC, again, very busy refreshing their design rules. They're suggesting revisions to Section 5.10 for planting requirements, just adding additional language to the design rules, specifically on the size of trees that they want to see in the front yards, what they want to require for new plantings, and how much new planting for side yard areas, those corner lots. They want to be a little more specific on what they want to see.
So we're making a motion to post this for a 28-day comment period?
Yes.
Well, that's what Vanessa just did. Yeah, Vanessa just went over it right now, what it was for. Yes.
The actual red line is on page 189 of your board packet, tab 15. This will be posted for 28-day comment.
Correct.
Please send us your thoughts.
Okay.
I'll second.
And you can send that to
Jerry?
rulechangес@scshca.com. You can also hand deliver your suggestion or your thoughts on this revision.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Who made the motion?
I made the motion. Jerry seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Vanessa, we have another posting for a 28-day comment. Tabs 16.
Yes, string lighting. So, very hot topic out there. The DRC felt it was necessary to add additional language to the current rule. Currently, you are required to submit for prior written approval for the installation of string lighting. String lighting is only permitted on your patio cover, and it has to be installed in such a way where the bulbs are completely hidden from view. But they also felt it was necessary to put that in writing and indicate that it could not cause any unreasonable glare to neighboring properties. So that was included in the current guidelines for it. Section
Now,
4.
that also included any kind of rope lighting and lighting that would be exposed to a neighbor's property. Is that correct?
Rope lighting is not permitted. String lighting with bulbs is only permitted under patio covers.
Under patio covers, as long as it's above the beam of the
Right.
patio cover, must not hang down below the beams.
That's correct.
Okay, so that is. I'm making a motion that be sent out for 28-day comment for the string lighting and the revision to the DRC information.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Jerry, can you give me an aye or a nay? An aye. He gave me an aye. Okay. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Okay, Jerry, you're up.
I make a motion to approve the replacement fertigation pump, and it's a value of $18,409 from Cloudburst Engineering, and the funds would come from the replacement fund.
I second.
Okay,
It's
good.
$18,409 and 80 cents.
80 cents. I missed the 80 cents. I'm sorry. Got bad eyes.
Coming out of your paycheck.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. This would be Kathy.
No, it's
Oh, no,
me.
I'm sorry, Moira.
It's me.
Yes.
Okay, we have a board action form, AKA BAF, to add trees and, I'm sorry. Okay, we have a board action form to approve the purchase and installation of 5 trees and 2 commercial park benches to the North Channel area. This has been approved by the Landscape Advisory Committee, and the total cost for the entire project will be $37,296.18, and that will come out of the Capital Improvement Fund.
So that includes the benches, the trees, which is 5 trees, and the walking path that will now go from the north tunnel. There's two tunnels, the south tunnel, north tunnel. The north tunnel around the east side of that entire parkway area there. And it will tie into a full circle, so you'll be able to go around and around, or whatever you choose to do, that walking path. And the benches will also be installed there as well. Okay. Entertain a motion. We have the motion by
Yes. I second.
We got a second. All in favor?
Aye. No discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. You are
That's okay.
absolutely right, Mr. Pesci.
That's okay.
You wanted to discuss.
I just wanted to discuss this. I'm not going to oppose this, but I just want to be more careful about spending any money in that area while we have workers and still construction going on. There's plenty of time to beautify it when everything is done. I feel it's a little premature to be doing this, but you explained, what it was.
Yeah, I'll explain to you. I have had meetings with Sukut, who is the company who is doing the renovation of the North Channel project. I will get into that in a couple of minutes in my board report, but we will no longer have their vehicles traveling through the new grass area. So the temporary fence that runs from the Jefferson gate to the homes, that fence that is there now has a gate in it. That gate will no longer be utilized for any vehicles or transportation. That would only be utilized if there was an emergency and they had to come in that way. That all the vehicles that are going to come in now are going to come in off of 40, and that's why that area is we're going to go ahead and add this to that area so that we can get ahead of it. And I'll give you a report on what's happening with North Channel in just a couple of minutes.
And all the construction is completed there. If we waited till the end of the total project, it could be 18 to 24 months. So we want that to be a park where it'll be usable by the community right away. And there won't be any construction traffic through it.
Yeah, I'll have an update on that in just a few minutes. So, Scott, were you okay now with
Yep.
that? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
That's
on
okay.
that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Jerry?
I'll make a motion to authorize Camera Access Technologies to replace and install the air-conditioned surveillance equipment enclosures for the Monroe Gate, 40th Gate, Club Gate, Madison Gate, North Gate for a total amount of $29,125. Expensive. Let's see, what else is there?
It's the capital.
I'm sorry. It is from the Capital Improvement Fund. Thank you.
I second the motion.
All I can say is thank God we put a capital improvement fund there, because that money there is just paying for all of these things that need to be paid for right now.
Oh, God.
So thank goodness it's there.
And to clarify, the Capital Improvement Fund, those are projects that are brand new. They aren't replacement. So this is new, such as the plants and the benches in the new planting there, and also this because we've never had anything like this before. That's why it's coming out of capital improvement.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Jerry, you're still up.
Yep. Make a motion to authorize Camera Access Technologies to replace the analog cameras and install new digital cameras and their components at Jefferson, Main Gate, Club, Monroe Gate, 40th Gate, North Gate, and Madison Gate, including the 2 new digital cameras at each gate to cover the overview to and from the gates for a total amount of, and try not to swallow too hard, $69,908.34.
Which
Now,
is
this
under budget.
This is from the Capital Replacement Fund, sorry.
No, it's from the reserve fund.
Reserve fund, I'm sorry.
This is the reserve fund.
Yeah,
that-
you had me going.
Okay, and it came in under budget, which is good. So that money is there and had been waiting to be spent for this express replacement.
I'll second the motion.
I'd like a little discussion, if possible.
Yes, we're ready for it now.
This is a lot of money, and when I look at the digital cameras, I know how nice they are. They're great. When I was on the Covenants Committee, I was chairman of that, chairperson. we had analog-only video, and quite frankly, it actually was very good. So I'm wondering why we're spending this amount of money. However, I do understand that cameras do degrade in this heat, and that's why we're putting refrigeration in. And I just was hoping that, making sure that we're aware that this is $69,000+ and that this isn't something we're going to be doing very often. Do we have any idea how long the period of time that it'll last?
So these are have a useful life of 7 years.
7 years.
7 years, that's what Tyler said. They have a useful life of 7 years. Jerry, you look like you want to say something again.
I made the motion, but that's kind of my job here.
It's certainly something we can reevaluate this summer when we meet with the replacement fund.
If I had a choice right now, I would like to table this and take a little more time and maybe have the board go down and go see TUI and look at the analog cameras we have right now, see if they are in dire straits, and if they are, I have no problem passing this, but maybe if we can spend another month looking at it.
Would you like to hear from your
Can we hear from
safety
TUI?
director
Can TUI come on up
Yeah,
for a second?
I think Jeff or TUI or the safety person would be perfect to come up and
TUI, can you come on up, please? Is he here? There's TUI. He was hoping we'd get him up here.
Good afternoon, board. The camera system that we have, most of it is the original analog camera system that we implemented back when this community was built. A lot of them are beyond repair. Lenses are not clear, can't read the license plate. When it's dark, it's almost useless. Analog cameras do degrade in time, and I've consulted with the vendors and the vendor, and there's just no, you can't replace them. Some of them, they don't even make them anymore. So we want to upgrade it to digital cameras so we can properly protect the community, as well as what we have right now is where the original cameras were placed in with the focus solely based on activity at the gates. There's a lot of activity that's not at the gate, beyond the gate and behind the gate that that went unrecorded and unsurveilled. For instance, we had somebody ran over our neighborhood watch sign, and I have no coverage. We have people jumping gates. I have no coverage. I have beautiful gate coverage, but I have nothing that's going out to the main street or back into the first intersection within the community. There's a lot of things that are happening, people turning around, hitting the center divider, hitting signs, hitting cameras, and we don't have any coverage of that. That should have been done when it was implemented.
And my feeling is that for the safety of the community, those should be replaced as soon as possible. And again, it came in below budget, so I would ask the board to consider this.
I'd like to ask Mr. Kirkpatrick to come up for a second, please. TUI and Jeff are both former police officers, so they know the importance of having good evidence. And Jeff, could you give us a little more perspective to support TUI and the decision that we might have to make here today?
Sure. Of course. For the residents, Jeff Kirkpatrick, Chair of the Safety Committee. Number one, this has been before the Safety Committee for several months. This is not a fly-by-night operation in terms of let's do something different. This is a operational necessity because the equipment we have is so degraded. If you go to the security shacks and you look at the multi-screen divided TVs, 70% of the cameras are illegible. So if you, in covenants, if you wanted to use that as an enforcing tool, you wouldn't have sufficient evidence to do that. As TUI is talking about coverage of the gates themselves, he's talking about the swing gates. He's not talking about the peripheral areas to the right and left of those swing gates. A lot of activity occurs in those peripheral areas. These cameras would help to cover that peripheral area. In addition to that, the analog cameras that were installed at the community's inception 14, 15 years ago, they are dead. They're dying. And they cannot be replaced because nobody makes analog cameras anymore. Additionally, the visibility during hours of darkness or dim light with the digital cameras is so much more enhanced because they have an infrared capacity to them. So they'll pick up things in the dark. For instance, gate jumpers, people that come over the walls near the gates. These cameras would be angled in such a way as to pick up those miscreants and catch them before they're able to do any damage within the community. So the Safety Committee took all this into consideration and voted to support it unanimously.
Very good. That's why I brought this up. It's a lot of money, but you needed to hear why we're going to spend this kind of money.
Let's give a
can I have
little
another
more
comment?
more to this that I might add too is that, oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Neither Tui or I commented on this. This includes the replacement of our existing DVRs, digital video recorders, which are analog. And this allows us to record them onto CDs or thumb drives, give them to the police much more easily than we have in the past, transmit them via email to the police directly or any other concerned agency. For instance, in Phase 3, we have the berm. And the folks that live up against the berm have a attractive nuisance, quite frankly. It is patrolled by the county, yet the county is too busy to patrol it, so they defer to the City of Indio. It is not in City of Indio's turf, but Indio will come out and patrol it if they have units available to do so. These analog versus digital issues, we have to keep moving with the times. Our technology is dying, plain and simple. The DVRs that we're replacing are digital recorders that enable us to condense and compact the information, put it on a simple drive device, and either email it or deliver a thumb drive to the cops.
Thank you.
Can I
Thank you,
ask a
Jeff.
quick question?
So one additional thing that I would add is that the FAC had a chance to take a look at this, even though the BAF was done by TUI. Your security group also had a chance to look at this and be involved with it as well, right, Jeff?
That's correct.
And the FAC. So all of them have voted. Did you guys vote unanimously to do this? Oh, so everybody has voted unanimously except for one member of the FAC voted just about the replacement of existing cameras, but not to add 2 additional cameras. And I think those 2 additional cameras were Jefferson Gate facing northward. Are those down? We're not doing those?
No, we're doing them.
Oh, and that's the Jefferson Gate facing the fountain, correct?
Yes.
And the other one is the 40th. Is that correct?
The North Gate.
The North Gate. So they both face outward now, so that we can see what's going away or what's coming towards us.
Correct.
Yeah. So, Jerry, does that answer? Scott, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just had a quick question, just for my own understanding of everything. Why was this not a replacement fund item?
It is.
It is. The reserve
It says
fund
it's
is
coming
the
from the capital
replacement
improvement
fund.
fund on here.
No, not capital improvement.
Well, that's what it says.
The capital improvement BAF was for the cooling for these cameras to keep them cool.
I think
The cameras themselves.
They both say capital improvement.
Yeah, I think Scott's reading the agenda. That's incorrect. Sorry about that.
If you look at the
If you
BAF.
look at the BAF itself.
Okay, I just looking at the agenda, it says
That's a
capital
typo
improvement.
on the agenda.
All right, that was just
itself.
an explanation. And the other thing that just, technology, I don't want a 1962 refrigerator either. But I'm a little leery of placing something with a 7-year lifespan that's replacing something that's lasted 14 or 15 years. But
Well, the projected
that's
lifespan,
technology.
the projected lifespan on equipment as you purchase it, they're warranted for that period of time. That doesn't mean they'll die within that period of time.
Got it, okay.
Okay, so we have a motion. Thank you, Jeff and Tui. Jeff, don't go away because no, not yet. In a few minutes, you're going to come up to give your report about safety. No, none. Okay, all right. So we have a motion and a motion by Jerry, a second by me. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Scott, you're up.
Let's see. So this is from the View Committee. View Advisory Committee, they're looking to request bids for printers to print the View magazine. It came up in the meeting this month that the company that we're currently using is just a broker and they don't do the printing themselves. So basically they're shopping the printing around and they're getting the lowest printer bid for themselves and making something in the middle. And we're not getting consistent quality or the quality that the View Committee is looking for. And I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. These people are very, very proud of their product that they put out, and the amount of time and just planning and the calendar all the way out, months out for this magazine was very impressive, because I'll tell you, I had no idea, but it was very, very impressive. So I'm making a motion that we allow them to go get the 5 additional bids from printers, to include Crown Printing, who prints the news and views over at Sun City Palm Desert, who is reportedly lower than what we're currently paying for a better quality magazine.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 5-0.
Yes, we have one, and that's from Dario Fadiga.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dario Fadiga. I live at 80308 Avenida Linda Vista, and my wife and I have been residents since 2004. My concern, among other things, is with the safety of everyone at Sun City Shadow Hills. Primarily, I'm a cyclist, and there are plenty of cyclists in the community. And recently, there has been a ruling by the Board of Directors and the Safety Advisory Committee, I guess, that we should enter and exit the Sun City Shadow Hills premises through the pedestrian gates with our bicycles. So at this moment, I asked the board and the Safety Advisory Committee for a meeting to discuss this issue. You have been supplied with my request, so at the time of your choosing, I would like to meet with you and discuss these issues. Would you do that for me?
I'd be happy to discuss it with you.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Please let me know. You have my email address. Let me know when we can discuss these issues, and
And Dario's request is cyclists go in and out. They don't go through the gates that go up and down. They're asked now to go through the swing gates, the pedestrian gates. And what occurs is, they're on the bike, they're trying to hold the bike, they open the gate, and you're falling all over the place, right? It's just, it sounds uncomfortable.
You need about 3 hands.
Yeah, you need 3 hands.
One to hold the gate and one to hold the bike. So very difficult and very dangerous. And besides, coming in and coming out of this place, on 2 occasions I stopped by the pedestrian gate curb. I unhooked my shoes from the pedals, and I was almost hit by a driver that was in a hurry going somewhere, maybe to a dental appointment. But this is
and you have a whole
this is
club,
not safe for
correct?
cyclists.
Yeah, cyclists. So we definitely want to meet with you and do some brainstorming on how to get you guys in and out of here safely.
Okay.
So thank you, sir. We will be contacting you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any committee chairs here that would like to give a quick, okay, come on down, please.
Hi, Evan.
Good afternoon, board and fellow residents.
I'm the committee chairman for the City Development Coordinating Committee, which probably nobody has ever heard of. After 16 years, I had never heard of it. But anyway, I volunteered a suggestion, and bingo bango, I'm the chairman. This committee does not require any money, oddly enough. But what we do, our main interest is to beautify that northeast corner of Varner and Jefferson. It's nothing but a tumbleweed farm. And recently it was cleared, the second time in 16 years that I know that it's been cleared. So that's our object. I've met with our city councilman, who is Glenn Miller, and presented the committee's ideas for beautification of that particular corner. And among them, basically, is some type of garden, some type of park, a very low-level park with maybe a walking path and a few benches, some decorative rocks, and also I suggested a xeriscape garden that perhaps the Indio Water Agency and the Coachella Valley Water District would be participating in developing that particular area as an example of plants and gardens that require very little water. Oddly enough, the city is all for it. At least our city councilman is. And I and Mr. Miller and perhaps another of our committee members are to meet with the city manager for the city of Indio. However, he wants to wait until after Coachella is over and after Stagecoach is over, which is understandable. But we want to do that. I also, we want to see a monument on that corner. The city of Indio has several monuments as you enter the city. It says, "Welcome to Indio, City of Festivals." Well, we're proposing something that says Shadow Hills. We have a high school named Shadow Hills. We have several other housing developments. They're not named Shadow Hills. One is, besides us, and other communities. So we want to engage those people. We think just like Brentwood and Bel Air and other communities in Los Angeles have such monuments, it tends to improve property values. So that's one of our goals. And so we want to involve other communities. That's what we're working on at the present time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
Very much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Another chair? Any other chairs here? Okay, here we go.
I'll just say, I hope everyone had a chance to look at the new pavers out there.
Yes.
Yes, the new pavers.
We'll be getting those, they're starting right now by the clock tower, and then we'll do in front of the fitness center. Takes about 2 weeks each time. Anyway.
Nice.
Thank you for the work.
Yeah. Real quick, Tyler, can you do a quick overview of how that saves us in our reserves from the 5-year plan of concrete?
Sure. So we put everything in the reserves, as mentioned earlier, with a useful life of 30 years or less. We start to collect money for that. It's believed that, well, it's not just believed. In the reserve budget, we had, remind me, John, 50,000 every 5 years.
Something like that.
To replace concrete. These things will not need replacement as often or even possibly within 30 years. So in 30 years' time, you'll save that cycle about 6 times, which is equal to $300,000 today.
And they look nice.
Yeah. If anybody knows what we call Rodeo Drive, the people that live on Rodeo Drive here in our community, where the model homes were, they have those pavers on the road. Those pavers have been there since the development began here, and they only go and steam clean up or power wash them once in a while, and that's it. So it's very minimal to do. Okay, thank you. Tony, you're up.
Real quick. Health
Now,
and-
which committee is there, Ms. Kaler? I forgot.
If you would have waited, you would have heard.
Sorry. My
Health
bad.
and Fitness Chair, and just wanted to let you all know that we are starting the Beat the Heat earlier than what we did in the past. So we're going to be starting that in mid-May. So y'all need to sign up because you're here, and I see you're here. So you need to come out, sign up. We have a lot of activities, a lot of workouts, because they're the amenities to help keep you all healthy, and we're doing it for you. So come out and support you.
And it's fun.
Anything from Covenants? Covenants is good to go? Tony? Covenants is good to go? Okay. Thank you, Mary Lou. Appreciate that. Jeff? Tyler? Time him. 3 minutes.
Don't even start. All right, you already know me. Again, active shooter seminar, 2 weeks, this room. Please find your fannies in the chairs here. It will be to your benefit. Trust me, please. It is May 9th at 6 p.m. There will be light refreshments. Indio PD will be here. Their SWAT sergeant will be the one doing the teaching, instructing. And they put us off to May 9th so that they could get through the festival season because they are really busy right now. So again, these are in the view. They're on the bulletin boards. They're on the TVs in the lobby, in the clubhouses, etc. The information is there, and it's posted on the website. We're doing a hard press advertising to get this room full. We'd really like to do that. Additionally, with the safety committee is busy, as you can tell by some of the stuff that's been happening here. In addition to that, the emergency preparedness committee is even busier. We have about 75 people on the roster. We are looking for a whole lot more folks. If you have a yen to be of service to your community, it doesn't require a lot of time. There are a number of EPC members in this crowd right here. Frank, thank you very much for the kudos. Ask any one of them. They have a lot of fun, and they learn an awful lot of stuff. So we're moving forward on that. We have a whole new set of subcommittees and team building going on, and we are restructuring the committee and just having a lot of fun doing it. So come on down, fill out that form, and get you on board. And I do respond as soon as I get those forms. So let that be said. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you. Jeff. Okay, food and beverage, please. Thanks, Dan.
Good afternoon. My name is Dan Kelly. I'm not the chairman of the Food and Beverage Committee. I've been on the committee for the last year. We don't have a chairman right now, so I'm kind of the pitch hitter for them. The Food and Beverage Committee last met last week on April 19th. It was a very interesting meeting because we have had a very difficult year in our committee, and we have a great committee. And at that particular time, we did a Zoom meeting because of COVID. And we had some people in the room who could come, but we had 3 or 4 members who either they had COVID or their husband had COVID, and they had to do it by Zoom, but they still agreed to do that meeting. I think that shows a terrific amount of commitment from a committee for people to be able to do that. So we had a really good meeting, a long meeting. Troon was there, Food and Beverage was there. We had many people on Zoom. It just goes to show the commitment of that organization. We are currently in need of 3 new members on our committee. We've had some people who left, resigned, for whatever reason. I think a gentleman in here said he applied for the committee. I talked about you this morning to
I told you.
We said you're already on schedule to be set for an interview. So we follow up right away when we get that. We got your application last, I believe, Thursday, and I communicated to the board on yesterday morning that we would set up for interviews. So that's the next process. So we need 3 more people. I think we had a total of 7 candidates, so that shows lots of interest for food and beverage. And we will be interviewing more people this week, and we'll probably have a decision made by our next meeting. Remember, the board must approve the people that apply for that committee, so it's a board approval. We have one.
Taking applications?
Can you still fill out an application? Yes. I would think so, certainly. Yes. I don't think we have a deadline.
The answer is yes.
If you already filled one out, you will either be called for an interview, or we'll say, that we already have our candidates.
Check with Dan. They'll give him your name afterwards. So
certainly.
Vanessa.
So that's where we are on that. At Kathy's suggestion, we talked about, hey, our goal is to make Shadows what you want Shadows to be. We worked very hard this past year to make it, and it was a difficult year with Troon, with the board, with everybody else involved, with management changes and so forth. A lot of people left last year. A lot of people quit last year. But Kathy's idea was to create a lot for our summer events. So she came up with an idea of summer nights, almost like Reno's hot summer night, but we're not having cars. So our goal is to have 4 or more events every single month. And if you got the newsletter today, you'll probably see that these are already in play. Okay, so there was great cooperation between restaurant management, Troon, and our committee to make things happen. So things coming up, Pasta Night, I believe it's this Wednesday at it's $17.95. Cinco de Mayo just announced today, May 5th. Everybody knows, is Cinco de Mayo on the 5th this year? I think it is. It is on the 5th this year. Cinco de Mayo on the 5th. No reservations required for that, I believe. Mother's Day, a Mother's Day brunch. If you haven't been there, look at the menu. It's a great menu. It's $36.95 for adults, and I think $13.95 for children. I don't call them kids. I call them children. My grandkids don't like to be called kids. We have a Cajun night on Wednesday, May 11th. It's $22.95. Reservations are required for that. We have fried chicken every Thursday night. The restaurant's going to be open more, folks. Trust me. It's going to be. We're not going to close it because we have banquets. We have great plans in place to make sure the restaurant stays open for you. We have prime rib every Saturday night for $24.95. We have happy hour every single day from 3 to 5, from 3 to 6, I believe.
Dan?
Am I correct?
I'm so sorry. Your time is up.
Okay, can I take one more minute? This is important, okay? People ask why don't we ask people what they want? A focus group was held at the suggestion of the ad hoc committee that was part of Food and Beverage. That committee had 150 people come to it, give opinions about what they want for Shadows. That is all currently documented right now. It went to the ad hoc committee, it went to our committee. We'll go to the board, and then it'll be published, I believe, in the June view. So we have lots of ideas on what you want, but that was an important part. So we worked really hard to get what you want, and it was done before, but I don't think it was ever done as well this time.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Christy, did you want to say something on, this is your last month, right? This is it for you? Nothing? Okay. Thank you very much for your time there. And is there any other committee that I missed?
Chris Stevens.
Chris, there you are. Come on down.
Tell us about the flowers.
Yes, people are wondering what's going on with the flowers.
What's going on with the flowers? Is this on? Yeah. I'm Chris Stevens. I chair, among other things, the Landscape Advisory Committee. And the focus right now, as you heard from Moira earlier, is on evolving the designs at the gates and improving the look from the standpoint of color. And so our focus has been there on what they call the club gate up at the north end, and then the Jefferson gate. The other thing that we're doing is you've probably noticed if you've been around the pools, is that the Santa Rosa pool has gone to a considerable refurbishment of the landscaping. We took out some trees that were basically committing a really tough time for the guys that were maintaining the pool, filling up the filters and changing the water quality. So we changed out some of the trees, and we put in all new landscaping and added color to the pots around Santa Rosa Pool. And the landscaping around the Montecito Pool has been partially redone, and we're in the process of doing some of the landscaping in the margin between the Montecito Pool and the 18th green for the golf course to make that look a little more respectable. So those are the things that are going on right now at with the Landscape Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, is that all our committee members? Okay, did we have anything from Lifestyles?
What Pat was saying is Lifestyle is currently full at this time. They have been for about 2 years. Any questions or suggestions can be taken to the Lifestyle desk at any time. Does that cover it?
Great. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. We have board reports. I think we'll start with Scott. Anything, Scott?
Just real quick, you heard I met with View, and that was, like I said, an eye-opener for me. I had no idea all that they did. I also sat in at FSAC. Again, an incredible committee that does a ton of work here. I mean, they touch everything here. I mean, literally. So nothing but appreciation for everybody on that committee. That's just a lot of hard work, and I'm looking forward to being there.
Nice. Jerry?
I'm liaison to street.
Speaker. Jerry, microphone.
I'm liaison to 3 different committees. The golf committee, unfortunately, I was involved in the board boot camp, trying to learn what the heck we're supposed to be doing, and that lasts all day, so I had to miss that. So I can't give you a real good idea of what they were talking about. However, I did read some minutes, and they're concerned about the slope on hole number 12. It's very steep, and they're considering trying to modify it. So people maybe not fall. So that's an issue they're looking at. They're also looking at people who are complaining about trees being too high in their view lines, and they deal with things like that, and they're very good. They're very accurate about what they want to spend. All this is from the minutes, so I wasn't there. I'm also liaison to the Emergency Prep and Safety Committee. And first of all, I want to say about Jeff Kirkpatrick, he is the real deal. He really is. I mean, I'm totally bromanced. He's organized, he's thorough, decisive. I mean, he's what you'd call a real leader. And I just mean that. I'm serious about this. So if you want to go to a great committee and be part of a great committee, go to the Emergency Prep. They had 60 or 70 people there. They're laughing. They're doing things. They're learning things. Just a couple of notes I took. They're involved in preparing for every possible contingency. What do you do with your pets? They'll have a place to put your pets on one of the tennis courts. Sorry, tennis people. They have the gate issue to deal with. They're going to have people working on how to get gates open and stay open. They're cross-training so that somebody has to go and deal with a situation that they've been cross-trained. I mean, this is very, very detailed. The first aid, it's just unbelievable. Communication. They're even working with the ham operators, so that we have 8 ham operators they've worked with. They're getting organized. I was impressed. Then I went to the Safety Committee, and that is one tight group. Very small, very tight, very organized, and very efficient. A lot of expertise. I mean, there's a woman who's looking at me, talking to me, and I think it was Janet. I think that was her name. Turns out she was a judge somewhere in Montana. I mean, I'm talking about some people who know what they're doing, and I feel kind of like I've got a lot of learning to do. They were discussing things like the front gate personnel, trying to make sure everybody's on board with behavior and saying hi, waving to each other. I mean, they're very aware of what the membership is actively looking for in the personnel here. Tui, great. You ask Tui a question, you get an answer. He doesn't mess around. He gives you a straight answer. He does what he can. If he doesn't know the answer, he's going to go find it. I was very, very impressed with Tui, too. So I know they're considering what they're going to do because they're down one personnel. They're down one full-time. It's not easy to do a lot of drive-bys. We had a conversation about whether the gate personnel may be not as mature as the people who are driving cars because they get promoted out into the patrol cars. Well, maybe make it more advantageous to keep the more mature ones or the nice ones in the gates and pay them a little bit more if they're going to be in the gatehouses. Make them the ones that you see first and foremost. Make them the ones that get paid a little bit more, perhaps. I don't know if I can even talk about that. And that if you want to be in the patrol
Not
car,
really. No.
I can't.
No.
I cannot. But you know what? I already did. Sorry. I take it all back. But anyway, so that's what I did with those committees.
Thanks, Jerry. Moira?
Chris has already done it,
Okay.
and so has Bob.
Chris and Bob did everything you need to do. That's perfect.
That's-
Kathy?
They did. So,
Well, I'm the liaison to food and beverage, and the committee did a great job putting together Shadow Summer Nights, and we're going to have a full summer schedule to bring people back in there. We're working also on gift cards right now that Dan didn't mention, and that's for Mother's Day. Give your mom, your favorite mom or husbands, give your wife a gift card so that they don't have to cook any day of the year, not just Mother's Day. So those will be available. And then I'm also the liaison to fitness and health, and Beat the Heat is great. It's a fun thing. You can do everything from, just simple walks around the community. There's a morning walk. There's exercise classes that you can go to. You get a T-shirt. And we get other fun things. There's a luncheon afterwards. You get points for things. It really gets you going because you get so sluggish when the summer heat starts going. This will keep you going, and it's just a great time. Everything from the pool to the gym, to walk in the streets. The other committee I'm liaison to is the City of Indio committee that Evan talked about, and where we're trying to get that. He's just been great. He's been like a one-man team. So I'm very enthused with him, and he's setting this all up. And when the city doesn't answer, there's Evan sending another email. So he's a good guy, and look for that monument, Shadow Hills, the place to be. Thank you.
Okay, so we all had a concert out here on the green last month. Queen Nation was there, and it was a huge success. More people came up to me, and I think some of the board members that were out there and said, why can't we do more of these? The answer is we can. We can do more. But we have to know in the budget session in August, okay, what we're looking at spending, what we're willing to spend on more concerts. They're free to you to go out there to, but they cost the community a lot of money. And so it will take all of you to come to the budget meeting, and Scott and Jerry are going to do their best to get their personal emails out there representing the board to get everybody to the budget meetings so that we can get more money out of your pocket for more events here at Sun City Shadow Hills. And I hope that we can get more concerts next year and enjoy ourselves and have those events for us. One thing I wanted to add is also I had a chance to meet with Sukkot, which is the development company, as I mentioned earlier, out doing the North Channel Project. And the North Channel Project has been quite an undertaking. If you've had a chance to walk out there and take a look or look over the fence or see through the fence what the project is they're doing, they originally were going to go down 25 feet. They went down 37 feet into the ground. And if you looked over the fence, you could look straight down and see these big, huge bulldozers that if you were standing next to would make them look like monsters, but they look like little Tonka toys down in the pit. They were moving dirt from the south side of the project to the north side. If you noticed on the north side of the project, the dirt was all the way up to the road. And that dirt was piled out there. So what they're doing now is they're going to build the south side. They're going to concrete that all in, and then they're going to, once that's all done, they're going to move all the dirt from the north side to the south side and pile it all up over there. And then they're going to do the concrete in the bottom. And then they're going to bring in 37 feet of dirt to put on top of that concrete. And then they're going to build the concrete lake, which is going to be bigger than what we had there before. So it will be a nice concrete lake. We will have the spillway coming underneath Jefferson, and it will go into the lake. And they hope that the result of a 100-year flood would not wash away the lake, but would yet go through the lake. So we never know what we're going to get when a big flood comes. As you've seen some of the golf courses along Ramon Boulevard and different locations in the community, when the water comes, it does what it wants to do. So the project, okay, from what Sukkot is telling us, is they anticipate to be done with our lake and our facility by December, which is way, way, way far ahead of schedule. The reason being is because they have started our project way ahead of schedule because of the materials that they needed to wait for that were on the ships out in the ocean, and they didn't have that material. So they decided to start with our project and work it out so that they will finish that project soon. That's exciting news. You know, we have a little bit of work to do. We'll have a road to put in from Avenue 40 and a couple of gates, which all of our gentlemen on the committees are working on, and they'll see how that goes. But again, the project is ahead of schedule, and I asked them about the heat when summertime comes, and they mentioned to me that they would start right at 7 o'clock, and they would work as long as they possibly could stand it, and then they would peel off. They are prepared for the heat. I know that there was talk about them starting at 3 o'clock in the morning at one time, and that made those residents along there very upset. And they obviously adjusted that so that they can get the project done. So the project is moving along at a speed pace, and I'm excited that they'll be done there, and then we can return that whole area to a walking path and an exercise area, and a nice pond with the ducks and the fish and the turtles again. So I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to spend time walking along the streets, but if you notice, all the turtles now are starting to crawl out on the grass, and they lay out about 1.5 feet or 2 feet out of the water on the grass, and they sun themselves, and as soon as you get close, they take off, they scurry. But you can see a lot of turtles. We've got a lot of turtles that are showing themselves in these lakes now. So anyway, the last thing I wanted to tell you was from a personal note. The election is over. You have your new board. I hope that this board will, as Jerry likes to refer to it, I hope this board will kumbaya for the benefit of this community. You can say what you want about me, but the only thing I will tell you is this. The only reason I ran for this board, okay, was to serve this community. Not because it was a big paycheck, because Bob Israel told me there was going to be a lot of zeros on the end of my paycheck, and I didn't know there was a zero in the front of it, too. But the thing is that I am like Moira and Scott and Kathy and Jerry. We just want to serve this community. We want to serve it the best way we can. And you folks elected us to do a job, and that was to look out for your financial well-being here and to watch out for your community and make sure that you are protected. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that that happens. And I appreciate every one of you that I see out there, and I will always say hi to everybody every day. And I really appreciate everybody's time in coming here today. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for your interest. Tyler has one thing, real quick.
Yeah, the board met in executive session this morning and will again this evening. So they didn't have an opportunity yet to approve the additions and changes to the committees, so that'll be discussed this afternoon still. They did, as we discussed, approve the renewal of the insurance, the liability and property insurance, and then also they approved the BAF to extend the Allied Universal contract for 7 months. That's going to be going from May 1st to December 31st, and June 1st to December 31st. And then the board will look again in the fall at the contract to determine if they want to extend it for another year at that point. That's all.
Vanessa, anything?
No, sir.
No? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.